Hello, I am Reagan McCauley from Corey Canine Massage. Welcome to today's interview. A little summary about me first, for those of you who don't know me. I am a mobile certified canine and feline massage therapist who's been working in the Toronto area since 2013. I also offer distance Reiki to clients around the world, pet clients, that is. I started my business to help pets live healthier, happier lives by relieving physical and emotional pain and tension, thereby also relieving stress for fur baby mums and dads, boosting quality of life together for longer. You can find me at CoreyCanineMassage.com and on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, as well as Corey Canine Massage's YouTube channel. So today I have with me dog trainer and dog mom, Stephanie Durante. Did I say that right, Stephanie?
Durante.
There is Stephanie Durante, and whose own dogs work as a decoy dog and in a therapist's office. Welcome, Stephanie. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so grateful to be here, and I'm a big fan of your work, and so is my dog Dapper. So
thank you. Yes. Love Dapper. Dapper's a sweetie. Please tell me a bit about yourself generally and your background with animals.
Ooh, loaded question, and oftentimes the two seem very intertwined. So thank you for the introduction. As you mentioned, I'm the owner of Kiss My Mutt training and boarding, and I've been working with animals pretty much my entire life as, a working professional, I suppose.
Yeah.
And opened up Kiss My Mutt about 8 years ago. I really enjoy and spend probably the bulk of my time working with dogs with different sorts of anxiety disorders, whether it's reactivity and fear. And that's actually where mine and your careers can really intertwine beautifully, as we all know the benefits of physically feeling good and mentally feeling good.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's a huge part of my life. I guess if I had to talk a little bit about me outside of my work, I enjoy spending as much time as I possibly can with my dogs, hiking, traveling, doing yoga, meditating, and I'd pretty much say that sums it up.
All right, that's terrific. And yes, as you mentioned there, it's interesting that you enjoy working with dogs that have anxiety issues. Of course, that is one of the major psychological issues that clients come to me with too for massage therapy. Massage therapy helps with that, as well as physical issues. So, and it's good to have trainers out there who are not afraid to, or it's not that you would be afraid. Obviously, as a dog trainer, you'd have to deal with anxiety, especially separation anxiety issues, but to gravitate that way is just nice.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. It's really it's something that we can all relate to some capacity or another. And it's amazing to be able to work with an animal who doesn't have the same type of barriers that humans may have when overcoming and working through these obstacles.
Right. Interesting. Okay, well, that is what you do. But two of your dogs also work with you, and we'll start with Dapper.
She's about 8 years old now, and Dapper has been pretty well since she was a pup, been coming along with me for sessions as a decoy dog.
Mm-hmm.
And with that position, she has a few different roles.
Yes. Okay.
So primarily with her job, when we're working with dogs who have reactive tendencies, there's oftentimes a lot of anxiety and nervousness around other dogs. And although we try our absolute best to keep these dogs under threshold, aka not in a reactive state, we need to know that if a reaction happens, we don't want the dog to feel more threatened by the dog that they're working with. So Dapper serves as a very neutral, calm, indifferent dog to dogs who are working on overcoming their fear towards dogs in very controlled, positive environments.
Take me through a session with a reactive dog. And so tell me, then kind of take me through what Dapper does too, as the decoy in this situation, if you would. And then how this, although you've already described a bit, how this does help the reactive dog that you are training.
Absolutely. So we would go through a series of different exercises to help change the dog's conditioned emotional response towards their trigger, which would in this case be a dog. And what we would do is we would set up in a location where the dogs can be at a really great distance from one another so we can work at the dog's threshold in a comfortable space. And with there, Dapper's just pretty well beside me, doing nothing,
Yeah.
ideally. I want her to be as low energy, as, again, removed from that other dog as possible. So that way I can be giving the owner instructions from a distance. That may be one way that the setup happens of, okay, when your dog does this, I want you to respond this way, whether it's adding a positive response, such as a reward, or helping the dog see that it can create space rather than reacting towards the dog. And we just pretty well stay there while the owner and the dog get to work through helping the dog through the scary situation at a very safe distance where the dog is able to receive this information. And again, the whole time Dapper's usually just either standing or laying down. And if the dog does have a reaction towards her, it's just important that she shows disinterest, in the sense that she's not going to threaten the dog back and validate that fear. And she's not going to walk away either, as that could also become intrinsically reinforcing for that dog's reaction. So she may just give a subtle social cue, such as turning her head and being like, I don't really want to interact like that. But nothing, no fear, no emotional response should be elicited from a decoy dog. They should be pretty bulletproof.
So I would think that Dapper would have had to have had a fair amount of training in order to be a decoy dog. Yes. And is she also naturally suited to it?
Yeah, that's the thing. So Dapper actually, before doing, well, while doing decoy work, I also saw if she wanted to do therapy work. And though she did really great at it, I just didn't see that she was thriving in that environment, because she's actually naturally a bit more of an aloof dog to newcomers.
Oh,
So unless you're in the house, if you enter in the house, as I'm sure you know, it's like pet me, touch me, I need to be on your lap. But outside of the house, to new people and new dogs, it's very easy for her to be disinterested in them. So
okay.
she does have this natural aloofness. She's also a very social dog, so she's also can be very playful with dogs in different settings. So the main things that I think really needed to be comprised for her training and her natural predisposition to be in the role that she's in is to have that natural aloofness. And then as well, we had to do a lot of work with engagement. So instead of worrying about what's going on in the environment, just focus on me. So what I did is I actually created other dogs to be a cue for my dog to check in with me instead. So anytime there's a dog, especially a dog barking, that's her cue to be like, Mom, what do we do about this? Which makes the entire process of decoy work much easier.
Oh,
She's all
terrific.
confident and chill. So I wouldn't put a dog in this position who was any bit stressed.
That's great. And so does she enjoy the work then?
I think she enjoys it because she gets lots of treats in the process. Every single time I want the other owner to be treating their dog, I'm just impulsively like, reward the dog now. And now I'm just rewarding my dog. So I think she likes it because she gets lots of snacks and she gets to be outside. So yeah, I don't think she minds it one bit.
Okay. Well, no, I doubt that she minds it. And does she find it stimulating, I guess?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's honestly, it's great because I make sure she gets a lot of other outlets other than work, although I'm not too
Mhm.
sure she views it that way anyway. But it is really great because if I have a 1 hour session and she was there with me for the hour, she's just going to come home and sleep probably the rest of the day, because it is very stimulating to be, socially aware of your environment and also still needing to get some feedback from me, and just being outside for an hour. That's a lot to take in for anybody. So, um,
Absolutely.
so
Yeah.
it's definitely a, a part of her weeks, but not her only part of every day.
Is there a difference in her job and
Mhm.
behavior, Dapper, when whether dealing with a dog that is more anxious versus a dog that is more reactive? I know that a dog that is more reactive is likely coming from a place of fear too, but some anxious dogs just
Right.
submit and get all little, whereas reactive dogs may be anxious as well, but they're puffing themselves out and on the offensive basically. So what's the difference there?
Yeah, I really love that distinction. And if I were to think about it, in either case, the staple of her behavior really needs to come down to calmness. Because in either sense, that dog is still acting in a place of arousal, and positive and negative arousal teeter really quickly. And if Dapper had to come in being like, I'm friendly, it's okay, to that dog who's becoming a shell of itself, isn't going to help that dog come out. If anything, it's that neutral, like, I'm over here whenever you're ready. I don't even care about you. That's what in either case is really going to help that dog feel comfortable to just experience another dog without having the social pressure of another dog. So I'd say in either case, it should really just be calm, loose, and depending on the dog's body language, it can shift into lightly inviting, meaning, oh, maybe I'm just going to move on and we can start sniffing and it's not so much about this interaction and everything's fine. So there definitely does have to be an aspect of her behavior to help shift the energy if the dog's starting to shift into a more comfortable state. But whether the dog is outwardly reactive or inwardly reactive, they really are kind of one and the same. It's just one learned that being like this only works so long before you have to explode. So yeah.
All right, cool. Okay, now is there anything else you wanted to mention about your dog, about Dapper and the work that she does? Anything else before I move on to the next dog, basically?
Yeah. I guess she does have a couple of other loose jobs as well that are in the same category of this job.
Yes.
So something that we do, for example, we were with a client just the other day who the dog is too nervous to walk outside. And whether this is a small dog or a large dog, sometimes they just can't even make it outside of their front step. That maybe if they've been recently adopted, maybe it's lack of exposure, trauma, etc. So I find dogs borrow confidence from other dogs really well. So with a series of exercises and the presence of of Dapper, this dog was able to get around the block. And although it wasn't a complete hell yeah from that dog, the dog made it way further willingly than the dog has ever made it. And that's just, with that, Dapper didn't really have to have any sort of expectation. She could be loose, enjoying the environment. And it was just kind of having that togetherness that really shifted that dog's behavior.
Yeah.
I'd say that would be her one other job. And maybe similarly, working with an overly excited dog who also maybe needs to work on a little bit of calmness and neutrality. That one's same stuff, pretty simple. And she's still just got to be her chill old self to do that one. Yeah,
okay.
that's it.
And she is, you say, on the aloof side. Does that also come into play when she's just, off work basically, and with other dogs in the dog park or on her walks, etc.?
Yeah. Dapper is not a dog park dog anymore. Before the age of 2, she was, but then when she hit sexual maturity, she fell into the shift that most dogs do, where she's more so dog selective and dog tolerant. So she has dog friends, and with her dog friends, she goes completely bananas. She turns back into a puppy, and she's just like really stupid. I love it. So she has her dog friends, and otherwise, she likes to enjoy her world with other dogs doing their own thing. She doesn't, unless they're puppies. Otherwise, she doesn't really want too many dogs. She's like, I'd rather sniff my pee nail and move on.
Right. All right. Very cool. Tell me about your other dog, your other dog's name, and your other dog's job.
So her name is Quincy. She is a Chihuahua, and Dapper is a Rottweiler Border Collie mix. I'll send you pictures. So Quincy works as a emotional support dog at a therapist's office, and that one I can't take too much credit for that job. She was just a natural. You have a Chihuahua, you get it. She's just like, if I could just live under your skin and give you love all day, I'll be happy. So that she does.
However, I will say that most Chihuahuas tend to reserve that emotion, that feeling, and that love and that cuddling for their one favorite human. So this is a little unusual that Quincy shares that with those who need it, basically. So that's pretty cool.
Good point. Sometimes I forget how the reputation Chihuahuas have, because I've been really blessed with sweet Quincy. And when I first did get her, she was really, really terrified of people. I wasn't even able to pet her when I got her. She was just kind of hiding in the corner. So we did similarly a lot of neutrality work with people. She never had an issue with dogs, but with people, she really just was a shell of herself. So with that, I really had to put a focus on the first probably about 6 months to a year of her life, making things as positive and boring around other people as possible. And at some point she like blossomed into herself, and now she just loves people. She's like, I always made sure everything was on her terms. And now she's just like all about cuddling with anybody who enters the home or out on the street. She's a big lover. So I got a good one.
Yeah, that's terrific. And not to say that, Chihuahuas aren't, all great, even with that reputation. It's just that they tend to, and I find this with Siamese cats too. I have a lot of Siamese cats, not right now, but through my life. Siamese cats and Chihuahuas are my thing. They tend to really focus on their favorite person. It doesn't mean they don't have other people they like to or love, downright love, but it's interesting because Chihuahuas can be so very, very selective to varying degrees. Like Raxel is friendly to other people too, that she knows. And then she's very, very shy. If she doesn't know you, so she's just like, ooh. But
Little.
she exactly. So yeah, the world is very big when she's on her walks, and so meeting people is intimidating for her. But she's not she doesn't lash out. So that's the important thing. But anyway, getting back to Quincy though. So tell me about Quincy's job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So essentially, Quincy stays at somebody's home. They previously were a client of mine, and they wanted their dog to be a therapy dog, but their dog was actually really, really aloof, very friendly, very sweet. But it was like, I don't really care. So we developed a great friendship, and we just kind of found that Quincy organically fell into the role of wanting to, I guess, to say it simply, cuddle with people all day.
Yeah.
She really did have this great emotional awareness to gravitating towards people who are maybe feeling a little bit more sensitively in that moment.
Yeah.
So it just kind of worked out that Quincy gets to stay there for a little bit of time every month.
Right.
Which is really beneficial for her in the winter months where she doesn't really get to go outside as much because of the weather.
Right.
And she, as they have appointments back to back throughout the day, she just usually hangs out on the couch and hops on the lap of whoever appears. And will pretty well stay there for the duration of the session, as long as, of course, the people consent, which most of them, surprise, surprise, do.
Right.
And and that's her hard day's work. And she sneaks and kisses when she can.
All right. Okay. Okay. Yes. Yeah. I my Chihuahua also likes to sneak in kisses. She like lots and lots. But yeah, so I get that. Okay. So she is good. I was going to ask about just knowing who needs her.
Yeah. She's a pretty, I don't like to say the word obedient, but she's a pretty obedient Chihuahua, for the sake of saying that if the one who's facilitating the healing for that session sees that maybe the person wants a little bit of space, they can just call her over, and Quincy will happily gather onto their lap instead. But yeah, she usually I've been told she has this great way of, when somebody's really hitting the peak of their emotions, she'll look up with her big beady eyes and just stare at them for affection. And it usually diffuses the situation quite well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I would think that it would.
Yeah, we've all been there. We know the effects of a little bit of love. It can go a long way from them.
Especially, yeah, when that love is coming from a sweet little, or large, but in this case, little dog. And cats also a similar kind of thing. But absolutely. So obviously she's helping lots of people.
Yeah, and she's so happy. So I'm so happy for her to be there for the time being. And I think it's a win-win for everybody and her whole 4-pound self. I'd say that about sums it up. Her two modes are cuddling and loving, and then otherwise she likes to get all of the dogs at the park chasing her around and going crazy. And that's about it. That sums up Quincy. Yeah, so I'm located within Toronto, though I also offer Zoom calls to anybody in the world if you'd ever like to work together. And I offer in-person sessions, and I oftentimes will travel to your home to work with your dog, and I'm comfortable with working with a wide range of behavioral issues. I did study animal psychology in a variance of different colleges, and it's something I'm extremely passionate about. So I'm always open for people to reach out to even just ask questions, and maybe one day work together.
Cool. And can people follow you on social media, find you on the web?
at kissmymutt with two T's.ca, as well
Cool.
as Kiss My Mutt Training on Instagram and Kiss My Mutt Training and Boarding on Facebook.
Well, thank you so much for talking with me today, Stephanie, and talking about your dogs, Quincy and Dapper. They're super interesting and super cool.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And thank you for everything you do.